So before you start this maneuver, you can adjust your mirrors so that you can see the lines as you reverse. Just remember to readjust them before you move off again when you're doing the rest of the drive. So I'm going to start on this side. Some cars have got the little circle mirror, which will allow you to see the line without really adjusting the mirror too much. But I don't think you can see it in the camera properly, so I'm just going to adjust the big one so that you can see the line as we reverse back. So I can see the line there, and on that side I can see the line there as well. Okay, so another thing as well, you want to think about which way you want to park, because on your test the examiner is not going to tell you which bay to park in. It's up to you to choose the bay that you want to end up in. We're going to go towards the right and then reverse back in to a bay on this side. Choose one that hasn't got a car next to it if you've got that option. Sometimes car parks and test centers are quite busy, and the only one you have left will be one that's got a car next to it or something like that. And if that's the case, then you've got no choice, you have to use that bay. But in a car park that's really empty like this, don't make it difficult for yourself by choosing one that's got next to a car. That's just going to be another challenge for you that you wouldn't have to think about if you parked in a bay that's got no car next to it. So for this exercise, what I'll do, I'm going to use this bay that we're already in, just to make it simple for me to explain to you what you need to do. So if you imagine this bay that we're in right now, we're going to end up reversing back into it from the right side. So to do that, the line that's right next to us here, there's a line. So this line here, that'll be the first line, and then the second line over there, third line. We're going to use the third line as our reference point, and once the third line is in the middle of our door here and we start turning, that should bring us back to this position. It will make more sense once I start moving and do it, but just remember, we always want to count 3 lines from the bay that you want to end up in. So 1, 2, 3, and use that as the reference point on your door, and you're going to end up 3 lines from that reference point. So just bear that in mind every time that you're doing this maneuver. Don't use one that's got, let's say there's a car in here and you want to park in here, you're not going to use that third line, because then your car is going to end up reversing into a bay that's already got a car in it. Choose an empty bay and then count 1, 2, 3 lines from that empty bay, and then reverse back into it once you've got the reference point. So first thing you want to do is, once you've decided what you're doing, put your clutch down, get into gear 1, have a nice look around, starting over your blind spots. Check over your right, check over your left, and then make sure it's safe, no one's coming around. If it was busy, you might want to signal, but right now it's quiet, so I don't need to do that. It's going to come out a bit first, so I'm not too close to the bays, and then turn all the way to the right, bearing in mind where that line was. So that's 1, 2, 3. Then I'm looking forward as well, looking around me, see what's going on. Once I get my car around here, I'm just going to straighten up my wheels. So remember that was the third line there. Right now it's not in the right position because I've had to use that space to straighten out the car. That's not a problem. I'm going to reverse back, and then once the line is in the middle, and then I'll turn. So get into reverse, look around all the way, making sure it's nice and safe, and then if it is safe, I'm just going to bring back the clutch just to the biting point. Not using any gas at the moment because I don't really need to. The car is moving fast enough without it. And then once the line gets to like there, so if you look at the line now, when it gets, that's like where it should be when you want to turn in this size car. So now that it's there, I know it's the right time for me to turn. I'm not going to turn with the wheels stationary, because that's called dry steering, and I'll explain that on a different video, but it's just basically not good for the tires. It's not good for the steering column as well, because it's going to be too much friction. So without getting too much into that, don't dry steer. You want to move a bit first and then start turning so that there's less friction on your wheels. So like now I'll start moving, then I'll do a quick full lock towards the right. Notice I've turned all the way, I can't turn anymore now. So this is what you call a full lock to the right. I'm going to keep like this until the car is in the middle of the bay, unless I have to make adjustments on the way, but I'm hoping not. So I'm going all the way back, checking around still. I'm looking in the mirrors as well. I can see it's getting in the bay now, and then once it's straight like it is now, I can straighten up my wheels. So the same amount of turning, but just the other way. Okay, looking everywhere. And then once I get to this position, I will stop the car. And I'm checking on that side. I can see I'm not on the line on that side. I've got a bit of space. I've got more space on this side, but that's fine as well. As long as you're not on the line, and as long as you're not using two bays, you should be fine. Don't try to adjust it if it's like this on your test. Obviously, if in a real parking situation, you might want to adjust it just so the person next to you there will have more space if they need to open the doors. And just now I can tell that we're back in far enough because the wing mirror is just above the end of those bays over there. So if there was a line, some car parks have got a line at the end of the bay to kind of box it off, showing you where the bay ends. And you want to use that line as a reference point to see if you've gone far back enough. When that mirror is just above that line, you should be far back enough so that you don't hit that wall at the back there, and just so that your car's not sticking out as well. If you do end up over the line or your car's over across two bays, you are allowed to make an adjustment to correct it. Just make sure you do it safely, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So let's say you've come back in and you found that when you finished, you can't see the line on one side. If you can't see the line on one side, it usually means that you're over the line, and especially if you can see that there's lots of room on the other side, you've either got the reference point wrong or something has gone wrong along the way and it hasn't worked. So right now I can see, if you want to check as well, you're allowed to just open the door and check, but make sure the car's secured first. I'm just going to open the door. I can see, look how much space there is there. That means we're definitely not in the bay. And this is where you want to just like not panic and relax, because it's not too difficult to fix if you just concentrate. So ask yourself, where do you want the car to be right now? We know that we've got more space on this side, so we want to make the car come to this side, and the best way to do that really would be to, you can't go back anymore because there's no space, so you're gonna have to go forward. And the best way to do this is to go forward towards the right, because that's where there's lots of space. So we're gonna go towards the right and then get the car straight over that side, and then reverse back in more towards the right. That's the plan. Always plan before you make your move. You don't want to be going out there and then getting stuck and thinking, oh my god, what am I doing? You all have a bit of time to think about what you're doing. Don't take too long obviously, but don't rush it either. Just think about what you want to do. So right now we know, okay, we're too far to this side, we want to be more to that side. So I've got my plan ready. Another thing to note as well, if you're in this position, the examiner's not going to tell you that, oh, you're in the wrong place, or you've gone over the line. You need to know for yourself. So once you've secured the car, and then that's it, you tell the examiner, and they might even ask, are you done? If you say yes, they'll assume that you think you're parked, but really you're not. So you need to make sure first that you are parked properly before you say yes, I'm done. If not, then you're gonna make that plan and you're gonna start executing it by going towards, so we're going to go towards the right, so there's lots of room that side. I'm keeping my eye on the mirror as well as I'm going forward on both of them, because I'm thinking about where the car should be, and I'm also looking forward as well, looking around me for any other vehicles. And once I get to like round here, I can turn a bit more left, and then if you can tell in the mirrors, but right now I can see both lines in the mirrors now, and I'm going to go into reverse, look around, make sure there's no one behind, and then I can still see there's a bit more space on that side, so I'm just going to turn a bit towards the right. So you always turn towards where the space is. That will make it easier for you to remember. Turn towards the space. So if you've got less space on that side, turn this way a little bit, not too much though. Remember, the car in reverse maneuvers quite a lot, so you don't want to turn too much, otherwise you're going to have the opposite problem and your car is going to be going all over the place. So right now I can see I'm going back in nicely. It's more in the middle. I can see both lines still checking around. I'm not going to relax too much until I get to the end, because I don't want to end up going one direction and then the car's going over the line on that side or this way. So I'm just keeping my eye on it constantly, keeping it slow, reversing back some more, keeping an eye on the back as well so I don't hit the back. And then once I get to like around here, I'm going to just confirm my reference point at the front there that I've gone back enough and it looks good. Clutch down, handbrake on, brake as well, neutral, and that'll be it sorted out. So in terms of how many times you can go forward, I know some people say that you can only go forward once, but I've talked to a few examiners and that's not true. You are allowed to go forward. They don't say the exact amount of times you're allowed to go forward, but as long as you're kind of making it better. So it's down to the examiner on the day. If they think you're making it better, or you know what you're doing and you're gonna fix the problem, they'll let you carry on. But if you're taking too long, or it doesn't look like you know what you're doing, then they will probably just say to you, okay, that's enough, thank you, then drive on, or that'll be the end of the test, because you're struggling too much to do it and it doesn't look like you know what you're doing. So that's why you would really want to have a plan, so you know exactly what you're going to do before you start going forward and making a mess up there. Once you're done, make sure you adjust your mirrors again so that they're in the right position, so they're not facing the floor, because you don't want to be driving around with your mirrors all the way down like that. You won't be able to see anything when you check them, when you're changing lanes and things like that. So before you move off, make sure you adjust them so that they're in the right position.